it's going ding 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 ding, like it's calling. You're calling me still or something.
Should be done now, right?
No.
It's still ringing?
Yeah.
You are in the video call.
Still ringing.
Okay. Can you cancel that one? Because we're obviously in this one. I got everything working on my end. No! I've lost him. God damn it. Jackson.
Yo.
Is it ringing still?
No.
Okay, we have it. Everything is perfect. Do not touch anything. Okay.
Hey.
This is garbage. Okay.
Yes. Isn't it crazy that in 2019 this stuff is still difficult? Like imagine in 100 years.
Okay. Yes. The true soldiers are in the chat. Let's let everybody get a few minutes to come in here. Okay, everybody can hear. Thank the Lord.
You guys can hear me good?
Thank the cows. Kate, I'm on some new shit here, okay? I'm on a new level. You see, I got the double screen, never been done before, clean. This is next level right here.
Nice, good, because we're gonna be dropping some next level knowledge.
Exactly. Because normally the Hangouts, it's like back and forth, and it's if two people are talking over each other as heated debates go, the camera is freaking out. It's going back and forth. It doesn't know who to focus on.
Yeah.
So a fruity kind of life says she can hear you, Jackson.
Nice.
She's clearly a supporter.
Clearly. She's eating what her taste buds naturally want.
Beef ribeye, Wagyu beef.
Which is anecdotal information, and we'll get into some science as well.
Please no science. Please no science. We can talk science. I'm down to talk science. It interests me personally outside of a debate format. But
yeah, you know, we'll just see how this goes. This is your chat. I'm on your channel, so you're directing this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we had 80 people in before we blew it, so
wow.
Let's let it trickle in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to back. Okay, audio is good. Audio is good. The video is good.
Hearing us.
Yes.
We're nice and clear.
Okay, good. People are trickling in. We got 26, baby. We got 101 apparently.
Great. And are you recording this? Are you recording this for YouTube as well?
Yeah, it automatically posts to YouTube after we're done here.
Excellent.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway,
do you want me to explain a little bit where I am, what I'm doing, why I got a white turban on my head, stuff like that?
Tell us about your situation.
All right. Well, while people are trickling in, I first want to address. I'm in El Salvador right now. It's hot as hell out here, probably 90 degrees. Just came back from a little workout, which I'm doing, which I usually don't do, lift weights, because I'm living on my bicycle. I started riding from Anchorage, Alaska in September of 2017. And over the last 20 months, I have been riding my bicycle fully self-supported with my rescue dog, Maggie, from Alaska down here to El Salvador. I haven't used any cars, planes, trains, buses. It's been about 16,000 kilometers, 10,000 miles. I've gotten up to 10,000 feet in the mountains of Chiapas, Mexico and Mexico City. And I'm currently right down on the ocean level. And I'm slowly riding to Argentina, and I live a really different nomadic lifestyle. I've been vegan for 6.5 years, vegetarian 5 years before that. And the reason that while people are trickling in before we get into diet nutrition stuff, the reason I have this bandage on my head, it's a gnarly story. And I just want to make sure, Drew, you can still hear me and everything?
Yes, everything's good. Everything's good.
Excellent. As people are trickling in before we get into the nutrition debate, here's a great example of kind of some of the things that I can run into living a nomadic lifestyle on a bicycle in Central America. I should say this doesn't happen often. I could never have imagined this to happen, but it did. A few months ago, I get eaten by mosquitoes all the time. I'm sleeping outside a lot. I camp. Because I'm riding my bicycle. So sometimes I end the day in the middle of nowhere and I duck into the forest off the side of the road and sleep outside. So there's lots of mosquitoes. I got a mosquito on my head. I got a shaved head. I probably itched it. And I noticed that a few days later it was infected. So I went to a doctor and they found out I actually had to go to a few because the first one didn't even know what was wrong. And the next one realized that there was actually a parasite that had gotten into the wound, into the little mosquito bite in my head. I'm swimming in tons of rivers. I'm swimming in stagnant cenotes. I think that's where I got it, which is like stagnant water. And essentially, I had to take a little pill, which killed the parasite. And then a couple days later, they took a freaking little white worm that was just living in my head out of my head.
I saw that, by the way, on your Instagram.
Like pus and blood just in this little pocket on my head. And essentially after taking that out, and there was so much buildup from it living in there, because I didn't know. I thought, you never think that there's a parasite. So I just, for a few weeks, was living with it and assumed that it would go away, just like all other little cuts go away. But it wasn't. And the reason that it didn't go away and that the skin wasn't healing, which has never happened before, is because the parasite was respirating out of this hole, out of my head. So it kept it open, which is why there was just
God, that gave me chills on my neck, dude.
Yeah, it sounds a lot gnarlier. I have to say, it never hurt other than when like sweat got into it. It was just annoying because there was constantly like little liquid and blood coming out, and it was such a hassle. And after the parasite went away, the skin healed, but there was still some like infected stuff in there. And essentially, I had to go to the doctor recently. They cut a little slit in my head, drained whatever fluid was keeping it infected, cleaned it, and gave me 2 stitches in there, and I should be completely done with this insane saga. And it doesn't hurt. It feels fine. I got it checked today, and it's healing. So I should truly be done. But, that's what happens when you live in places with suboptimal medical care versus places like the United States. And I live outside, and it's gnarly, and that happened. But it serves for an amazing story, and I'm all about storytelling. So I'm not totally pissed about the situation because I don't think there's any long-term repercussions.
So long story short, you do believe in self-defense as a vegan from
Absolutely.
either humans or animals.
If there's parasites in your head, kill that shit. Fuck them.
That is not a vegan thing to say, by the way.
And, you know what? A big thing that I want to talk about is that I am not a tribal vegan. And I call myself a vegan, and we can talk about why, but I really want to drive home. And are you cool if we start just like kind of bantering and talking about stuff, or?
Well, I do. I want to get into your post that you made today. Maybe we should start there.
Great, go.
So, and that probably is going to feed into what you're going to say anyway.
Great.
Okay, so we got about 80 people in the audience.
Nice.
By
Hello,
the way,
everybody.
This is Jackson Foster, aka Plantriotic. I'm going to do a little mini intro on you from what I know of you. Jackson and I have met in Hawaii in person. We've spent a couple weeks together while he stayed on the island. He lived in the area. Also,
I never lived there. Just like came and hung out. Visited.
You're visiting.
Yeah.
So I know I've actually met him. We've done some activities together. Jackson, like you said, he's traveling right now through El Salvador on his bicycle all the way from. You started in Alaska, right?
Started in Alaska, and I've transported myself here 100% on bicycle over the last 20 months, and I've got YouTube videos and Instagram posts of every place I've been.
And Jackson is what I would consider an ethical vegan. Primarily, he has done many animal activist events.
Yes.
You've done events where you cut your long ponytail in front of a huge audience of people.
Absolutely.
For some intense
against the fur industry.
Against the fur industry. So you've been
which beats the shit out of sheeps and puts them on their back in order for us to get clothing, which we can also get just as good synthetic version.
So you've been all the way to the belly of the beast as far as the ethical stuff is concerned. The demonstrations.
Yes, I know the activist community and all that. Yeah.
Okay, so just giving the audience an idea of who you are, where you've been,
but that's not strictly it. Like as you know, since the beginning of my YouTube channel in 2014, I've also been immersed in learning about nutritional science. And
I'm gonna get there.
Yeah. Okay.
So as far as your nutritional and athletic feats, Jackson has spent a lot of time working out, doing powerlifting stuff, bodybuilding stuff. He's gotten a lot more swole than he is now. He's quite lean with the cycling physique on Instagram that he shows off. I wouldn't consider it skinny fat. You've got abs, so just skinny like me, you know.
Yeah, I
Not
mean,
skinny fat though, which is nice.
but also just to keep it fully real, because I'm not interested in being like a competitive cyclist, I just happen to be living on a bicycle now and I like that kind of lifestyle. I still do more like calisthenics. I can hold a handstand for a minute. I do pull-ups, push-ups all the time in order to keep some muscle mass, because I don't like looking like a super skinny cyclist. And if you put a picture of me versus like a competitive cyclist, Lance Armstrong in his day, I'm able to keep on a lot more muscle mass just because I'm not interested in like being as light as possible and optimizing my cycling. But it's a very different lifestyle than when you're bodybuilding. You can't keep on a bodybuilding physique. I'm probably down 30 pounds from the heaviest I was when I was bodybuilding than I am now, because when you're cycling with a 100-pound bicycle up mountains, just all the extra weight wants to leave.
What's your weight now, and what was your biggest weight ever?
The biggest weight I ever was 190 pounds. And I was much higher in fat.
And you're like
percentage.
6'1", right?
I'm 6'2".
6'2".
I was like I went from being 140 pounds in an eating disorder the first 2 years as a vegan, being a runner, extremely underweight for my size and unhealthy. I was undernourishing myself in calories, which means I was undernourishing myself in nutrients most likely, because as you know, plants are less calorically dense in certain nutrients than you could say animal products, even though plants have other nutrients that maybe animal products don't. Yeah, I went from being extremely underweight in an eating disorder, 140 pounds, to a year and a half later being 190 something pounds, almost 200. And I will be the first to say that wasn't only muscle. That was, of course, fat gain as well, because I was of the belief back then, and still am, that if you want to optimize muscle growth, it makes sense to be in such a caloric surplus that you're naturally going to gain a bit of fat as well. Look at any professional bodybuilder. They usually get a little chunky in the off season, put on that muscle, and then you can strip it down. And I did do a little cut after being 190 pounds, probably got to like 165, 170 at pretty lean. And I have photos to show that. So I objectively gained anywhere from 15 to 25 pounds in a year and a half period of time, which of course might sound crazy to people, but when you come from being emaciated and eating disorder, it's a lot easier to put on that muscle versus someone who's been training for 10 years. You can't gain that much muscle mass in a short period of time. But my first year and a half of building muscle, it's all documented on YouTube, which was a huge success. And do you want to know about my diet at that time, or we'll get into that, or I don't want to derail you?
No, I'm just flexing for the camera, so we're good. People are talking fitness in the chat. People are talking whether we look skinny or not.
You were flexing because I can't see you. You guys want to see my physique right now? You guys?
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. Get that. Right. Pop that top off, baby. I want to see this.
Yeah, man. And yeah, sure. So here's what I'm looking like. Today I've probably eaten 1,500 calories. Again, living on the bike life. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I'm lean as hell. I got clear muscles. I got abs. I eat right now. I've been on this like mini bulk because I'm at an Airbnb off the bike, and I found a little gym that's $1 a day to use. So I've done like 4 training sessions in the last 8 days or something. Okay. But here's my physique. I think I look pretty how most people would.
Our abs are about the same level, I gotta say.
Yeah, would be cool looking. And again, this is with pushing my body harder than anyone in this chat. I mean, and I'm not saying it's healthy. I mean, I've ridden 10,000 miles over the last 20 months with a 100-pound bicycle. I'm tired, not like insanely tired. I feel good, but clearly my body probably needs like 6 months of rest after the kind of stuff that I do. It's definitely depleting to live this way, but no, I feel good. I'm still excited. I still got about 10,000 more miles to go until we get to Argentina. And
wait, how many miles?
10,000 more. I'm halfway done. No, I did 10,000 from Alaska to here, and I got another 10,000 to go. So that's a pretty big milestone to be halfway through. Dude, I have been picking ticks off of my fucking body all day. I'm holding a tick right here. God damn.
Okay.
Which, by the way,
let's get on track here. So we got so much to cover here. Guys, I think we've got a good baseline for where we're at, where we've been. My audience probably knows all my stuff. My stuff, before veganism, current veganism. When you met me, I was It was right when I moved to Hawaii, so I was probably like 140 pounds. I was a little bit lighter than I am right now. Definitely more skinny fat, if I had any muscle at all. I think I was actually just coming off the juice fast, which I looked absolutely disgusting, terrible. The worst, probably the worst I've ever looked since I was in high school, which I never even worked out back then. So let's move on. You know, so you called about this discussion.
Yeah.
You know, is there anything that you want to lead off with? That because
Yes,
I'll give you the floor,
Thank
and
you.
let's start off like that. I have a list of questions, just so you know.
Perfect.
What I'm hoping for with this conversation is that either at least one of us has to walk away from this feeling like we won. All right. And
Okay.
I want to
I don't think that's going to happen, but
that's fine.
okay.
Even if I feel like I won and you feel like you won, at least we're keeping it competitive. And
Okay.
I want to walk away from this with the understanding that we might have some more things to research. And I know that you are open-minded because you have been researching the grass-fed situation. And this is where we will start. Sorry to take it away from you for a second, but
Well, I first want to state my point.
okay,
First.
I just want to share what you said on Instagram today. That's it.
Got it.
Today Jackson made a post, and you can clarify if I'm wrong, but you made a post essentially saying that you are unbiased because you state that it is more vegan to be a grass-fed beef eater.
No, I did not say grass-fed. I think I was talking about wild meat in that. Oh, no. Let's say you had grass-fed animals. Okay. Go on. Okay.
So grass-fed or wild? Grass-fed or wild? Same boat, basically.
I mean, out of like the grocery store industrial food system. Let's say you had like 5 or 10 cows a year on your property and it was grass-fed. Sure.
Okay. Fair enough. So you guys understand that clarity there.
Yes.
You consider that more vegan than eating a conventionally procured vegan diet from the regular grocery store. You're buying carrots and bananas off the regular Chiquita banana shelves. You saying that's more vegan?
So there's one thing that you didn't add, which is so important.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's only more vegan if you, as that grass-fed eater, are also not buying any fruits, vegetables, rice, crackers, bread from the grocery store. If 100% of your calories is coming from killing 5, probably to 10, this isn't scientific, this is just in my realm of researching this for so many years. If you want to eat meat and you have some backyard chickens and you eat their eggs and then you hunting is the most ideal because those are wild animals who are living a totally free life. And ideally, you're killing them old in age when they're about to die anyways. So let's say even if it's grass-fed on your property or if you're hunting for a family, would you agree how many animals would you need to kill per year for you, your wife, and your kid? 5 or 6 large animals or less?
Yeah, about that, right. Maybe less, but sure.
If your diet is 2 to 6 large animals that you kill for your food, and then you have a greenhouse and you never are buying rice, beans, anything from a grocery store, and that's your diet, that is 100% objectively more vegan and ethical than if you are a vegan in Berkeley, California, eating Ben & Jerry's vegan ice cream and eating even lentils and just everything from the grocery store. And if you're a vegan who thinks that it's better to contribute to the industrial plant agriculture system than it is to kill 3 or 4 or 5 animals and have backyard chickens, I don't even want to talk to you.
Okay. Fair enough, and I agree. I think that there needs to be some understanding of this, and I've actually heard you say. Well, go ahead. Looks like you want to say something.
There's also nuance though, because while some people in our modern world can live that way, you and I would agree as well, because it's an objective fact that 7 billion people can't live that way. Agriculture.
We don't know. We don't know that that's not possible because it hasn't been tried. So
okay, but you
drive across the US,
agree that
so
the infrastructure change that would have to happen. It's just not reasonable. We live in a world where 99% of people are not growing 100% of their own food that they're eating.
Of course, because they don't even live in an area that could actually grow that food.
People shop from grocery stores. Like, and then what I am saying is that if you have a diet that is based on Drew's diet, where you are buying pretty cheap meats from grocery stores that might even be grass-fed, and you also eat some carbohydrates and plants, and you are contributing to the industrial food system, and you are not, and with transportation and everything, you don't live on a farm, you're not growing your own food. A vegan diet comprised of fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and grains from an industrial food system is more ethical and environmentally sustainable than someone who is eating, a animal-based or even animal and plant-based diet from a grocery store, because we have so much evidence to show that you can get more calories per water, land, all of that by doing it through plant agriculture and directly eating the plants rather than having to grow a bunch of plants to feed to animals, losing tons of calories in the process, or with grass-fed animals, which takes so much land when you could be growing plants on that land on a smaller plot of land to get equal amount of calories and then get that other land to forest, which is our objective. Agriculture is inherently destructive. We want to minimize agriculture as much as possible and get back to a wild ecosystem. I got my degree from Colorado College in environmental policy making and science. It was not a vegan program. There was not a bias. I didn't even have a vegan teacher.
Well, any school in Colorado is going to be biased, just for the record.
What does that even mean?
It's an extremely liberal state with an extremely liberal school program.
The people at Colorado College are best friends with the local pig and grass-fed industry. It is so much more popular in Colorado to support your grass-fed agriculture. I'm not talking about the
I agree.
classes.
There's a lot more grass-fed there.
Oh my God.
I've been to the restaurants there.
It's all about that. So no, it was not biased. My teachers who have been studying this and who are professors into their 60s and 70s were not biased when they're talking about how growing plants per land plot is more sustainable when it comes to water use, land use, wildlife displacement. Growing plants wins on all accounts versus factory farm meat or even grass-fed animals in many situations.
Okay, so I'm gonna just have to concede with you there because I didn't have a formal education in this, and to be honest with you, it's not my interest. Like I haven't actually researched that because
and it's easy. Anyone can go research it.
Right. So the hierarchy of importance to me when in regards to diet is health. What produces the best health and fitness at the very tippy top of the pyramid, right?
Yes.
Then it's ethics, and then below that is environmental aspects.
Great.
So in that order, basically. So I understand that other people have a different order, a reverse order, but that's just where I'm coming from with it.
The reason I'm tweaking out everyone and looking is literally I've pulled 5 ticks just crawling on my body in the last few minutes.
Okay, so all right, so you said you did have a point that you wanted to start off with. I'm not sure if that was it. I'll let you hit that one.
No, it was not.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, this is purely based on nutrition. I am not talking about ethics here. I'm not talking about sustainability. 100% health and nutrition. Here's my stance for the diet that I believe is healthiest for human beings. Not based on my opinion, based on the most mainstream science and data that has been collected from
World Health Organization,
Harvard School of Public Health, American Dietetic Association, American Heart Association, Cleveland Heart Clinic, and things like the Blue Zone studies, which I would say are all completely non-biased in terms of advocating for a plant-based diet. I don't see why Harvard School would have vegan ethical bias. I don't see why the American Dietetic Association would have bias towards animal rights or towards plant-based diets. And the American Heart Association and the Cleveland Heart Clinic, which is one of the primary cardiac units in the United States, maybe the best for cardiologists. All of those, and you can look this up, this is a fact, go and look up those organizations, which I would say are the most mainstream, well-respected, although that's objective, but they are the largest think tanks and organization that immerses themselves in the decades and even centuries of nutritional research for human beings over the last 100 or so years, taking meta-analysis studies, everything from epistemology, epidemiology to more reductionist science, taking every single thing you can possibly find, and also doctors treating patients, anecdotal evidence as well. So all those different things, bringing it together in a meta-analysis. And if you look up those institutions that I just listed, all of them advocate more or less for the same diet. And that's the diet that I'm advocating for health as well, because I don't care about how I feel about animals. I care in this health conversation not what some social media YouTubers are talking about who happen to have some celebrity on the internet with no professional nutritional credentials and who aren't treating patients. I care about the Harvard School of Public Health, the American Dietetic Association, American Heart Association, Cleveland Clinic, and 100% factually, go look it up yourself, all of those institutions say that a diet comprised predominantly of plant foods, colorful plant foods, including fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and seeds, with a reduction to 10 to 15% of total calories from animal products, and reducing all processed meat and sugary drinks and candy is the optimal human diet for health and nutrition, for performance, to prevent heart disease, or to reduce risk of heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, Alzheimer's. Let me repeat what all of those organizations say: a predominantly plant-rich diet, high in fiber and colorful plants, with 10 to 15% of calories coming from animal products. And they're not saying you need 10 to 15%. They're saying we don't have any research yet to say that 100% plant diet is optimal to prevent and reverse heart disease, cancer, all the things that are plaguing our world, versus a 10 to 15% calorie from animal product diet. So if you, Drew, agree that the best optimal human diet is predominantly fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and whole grains, with 10 to 15% of your calories coming from eggs, fish, and meat from the most grass-fed and organic sources, we can close this right now because we both agree.
Well, it's a good thing I don't agree.
Okay.
I don't agree at all.
And do you agree because of your feelings, or because of a few fringe doctors on the internet? Or do you think that the most major nutritional research associations are biased or wrong?
I have never seen any of those organizations state that
all you need to do is type in Harvard School of Public Health dietary recommendations, and I did all this before.
It says it's suitable. It says it's suitable
no,
for all
it says
stages
it's
of life.
optimal. If you go to Harvard
I've never
School
seen
of
that.
Dude, if you go to literally on Google right now, if you typed in Harvard School of Public Health dietary recommendations, not vegan, not anything, what will come up, and this is a fact, I don't care about your feelings, I looked all this up before, and I'm not lying. If I was lying to you, it'd be embarrassing, because everyone could go look right now. All the associations that I just listed, and including things like, including the largest nutritional science studies, including the Adventist Health Study, the Epic Oxford Study, which are epidemiology. And of course, some people argue that epidemiology isn't as legitimate as reductionist science. I think meta-analysis is what it's all about, which is taking all the different studies, putting them together, and this is recorded. Everyone can go and look. I listed.
Okay, so I don't know that it says that, but I'm going to assume that it does.
You have to assume it, because I looked it up this morning, and you can look it up after that.
Okay. Well, you got a lot of airtime. I got to get in here, because I know you won't stop.
I have one tiny little thing to say.
Get it out.
My stance is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that if you do not believe Harvard School of Public Health, American Dietetic Association, American Heart Association, Cleveland Clinic, if you don't take their advice, and you instead take advice from a very fringe diet that might be right. I'm open to the idea that there's going to be a study in a year, or in 2 years, or in 10 years that has new science. But all we can do as human beings is trust the smartest professionals that are out there who have been immersed in this research, and take their advice if we think it's unbiased. And none of these major organizations are advocating for a carnivore diet, or advocating even for a keto diet, or for a low carb diet, they are advocating for a diet high in plant foods with a reduction in red meat and animal products in general. And go look it up. But that is why I choose to do this diet. And then the reason that I choose to do it 100% instead of 90%, that has nothing to do with health.
That was going to be my next question. I'm glad you're going into that. You're answering my question for me.
That's where ethics come in. And I should also say that none of these associations say that a diet with 10% of calories from those products is better than 100%. There's simply, it's simply less strict. All their studies
because they don't know because there's not been a study done is essentially what it is.
Exactly. Okay, so the reason that I choose not to eat those 10% of calories from animal products is just because I feel like I don't need to. I feel like I'm very healthy and I love my diet. I love the foods that I eat. I have great digestion. I have a great sex drive. I perform athletically very well. And I don't get sick more than the average person.
In the context of cycling, you perform well.
No, in the context of bodybuilding, dude, anything. And then you also have athletes, like, again, some of them, I mean, it's so easy to point straight to Nimai Delgado because he's the biggest, but of course people are going to say that's steroid induced as well. But
he created that physique on a vegetarian diet as well.
True.
Before he went vegan.
True. Okay, take Jahina Malik, who is from New York City, a friend that I know.
Okay, so hold on. I got to stop you because I know you would just keep going. Yeah. So listen, this is a point I made in my last video and you're going into that right now. You're doing the thing that vegans do where they point to somebody else. So
first address, Drew, why you choose to trust a diet that all of those major associations don't advocate for. And maybe the carnivore diet, they will later. But until that happens, don't you think it's better to trust people who are so much more objectively smarter than a few people who have opinions on the internet with anecdotal information instead of taking meta-analyses from the most comprehensive nutritional studies that we have to offer? Why do you choose to take that? And maybe it's because anecdotally you didn't feel good. And if that's the case, then I support you doing with whatever you feel good, but you need to live with the fact that if a more carnivore-based diet is your diet, you're still going against in terms of what they advocate for longevity, decreasing risk of heart disease.
Let me answer you.
Yeah, go.
Vegans, in my opinion, and in my belief, in my viewpoint, are literally, when you're a kid and somebody says, if little Jimmy jumped off a cliff and told you to do it, would you do it too? Right now, vegans are doing that. They have their studies, they have their theory. And there's so many people leaving the diet because of very poor results in real life.
I need to debunk that. That's not true. There's literally 10 people who happen to have a bunch of followers who really care about body image and, in my opinion, were undernourishing themselves chronically for years. There's like 10 people on the internet that are struggling with a vegan diet. In my personal life, I'm immersed amongst animal activists. I probably have 50 animal activists.
Animal activists is a very important bias to understand. I've been waiting. You've been talking a lot. The chat's popping off. They want me to talk. I got to respond to your question, first of all.
So but what I'm saying is that vegans aren't dropping off. In my actual real life, off of these famous YouTubers, my friends aren't texting me and saying that in the last 3 months, I too.
That's because they're animal rights ethics people. It's very taboo in the ethics community to even talk about diet because talk about health because the animals come first. You can
be an optimal athlete and also care about animal rights. My friends,
of course you can.
My friends who are not dropping off the vegan diet, who care about animal rights, are also not just like sick and struggling, but they do it because of animal rights. I'm saying people in my everyday life who happen to not be these 10 YouTubers who it didn't work for them.
I need you to stop. I got 2 things to say. And please do not talk until I'm done talking about this.
I'm sorry.
Okay, number one, you're talking about your real life, and let me talk about my real life. I literally shot a video today that I haven't even released yet, talking about my real objective numbers, because people got a problem with what I say when I bring up stats, my own stats, and I'm doing air quotes here because I'm creating these stats. Yes, I am. When I say that the vegan diet cannot be sustained for a lifetime, optimal health, like I don't even believe that you will be vegan for the rest of your life. Flat out. And I hope to know you for the rest of your life.
You can believe whatever you want, but facts don't care about your feelings.
That's fine. Well, I'm going to give you some facts. I'm going to give you some actual facts, okay? Because you're talking about how you're friends in real life, but you have all these ethical wackadoodle activist friends that are willing to go to extremes and willing to literally die. Ted Carr says in his video he'd rather take a bullet in the head than eat an
Okay,
animal
but
again.
I don't agree with that. So who cares? If I found compelling
neither do I.
information from the smartest people that animal products were
Well,
essential
you
and
wanted to bring up
important.
your anecdotes and say that your friends in real life aren't doing that, but I'm going to
Okay.
tell you about my friends, people
Okay,
that you
go.
know. Okay,
Great.
I counted 25 people that lived with me in Hawaii. Regular people, not. I'm not even counting you in this. People that floated through for a week or two. Okay, these are 25 people that live there full time. I dealt with them on a regular basis. They were not calorie restricting. They were not doing juice fasting. They were not doing all this weird, wacky stuff that people claim that these vegans are doing.
Maybe.
Well, I live with them, and I lived around them very closely. I saw what they're eating. I saw what they brought to vegan potlucks at my house. I saw this stuff on a very, very regular, personal, intimate basis. You can choose not to believe that if you want to. That's fine. Okay, so what I need to say about this is, out of those 25, how many people do you think are still vegan right now? And by the way, they were all still vegan the day that the day that I started eating meat. How many do you think are still vegan right now?
5.
Close. 7.
Okay.
7 out of 25.
So most have dropped off.
Correct. 2/3 are gone. 2/3 are no longer vegan in the last 7 to 8 months. And this is because they've personally seen the changes that have been going on. They were not too deep in the ethics. They were mostly health-focused vegans. Okay. This is what I'm saying. There's a big fundamental difference between the ethical vegans and the health-focused vegans. An ethical vegan is willing to die with the ship no matter what happens.
Not me, man. Not me.
This is what I find interesting with you, and this is the only reason I'm even willing to have this conversation, is because you will state that not everybody can do the vegan diet. That's a very interesting and unique ethical vegan statement, because ethical vegans will say, even if they were going to entertain that, they would still say you should still do the vegan diet regardless. You should still be 100% vegan, even if that means sacrificing your life for the animals, because that's the right thing to do. And I know that you don't believe that.
Okay, this is what I believe. If you live somewhere with 25 vegans who were eating what we thought of at the time, and you thought of at the time was a healthy, diverse, plant-based diet, and after 5 or so years, they developed health issues that they could not fix, and then they started eating animal products and fixed them. I care less about that anecdotal information than the Harvard School of Public Health, the American Dietetic Association, the American Heart Association, etc., who says that a diet rich in 90% of calories from plant foods, or they even say, I think it was the American Dietetic Association, it is, and you can look it up, that even a vegan diet comprised of 0 animal products is sufficient for all stages of life, infancy, pregnancy. So even if you lived in a house with 100 people and 99% of them, which by the way, you do not know what went in their mouth. You do not know every single calorie they ate. You do not know how much exercise they were doing. You do not know how much stress they had. You do not know if they were supplementing with B12 and DHA, which I recommend for vegans. And I can even talk about why and why I don't think that debunks the diet.
Okay, I think it does, by the way.
And I'll tell you why I don't think it does.
Not B12. I'm actually willing to accept B12, but it's still bullshit.
I care more about people who are much smarter and who have done meta-analyses than I care about your results, any anecdotal information, because my results and the people in my everyday life, like Jay, a plant-based athlete, and we happen to be talking about YouTubers because you guys wouldn't care if I just mentioned like my friend Jason Boxer, for instance, who's also a traveling cyclist who's vegan, or Ali Cycling About, who look up his Instagram. It's even a cooler bicycling Instagram than mine. He's riding
Ali,
from
the chiropractor?
Argentina. No.
Okay.
He's called Cycling About on Instagram. He makes me look like a freaking wimp. He bikes this route that I'm doing, but all on like single track dirt trails. It's insane. He's never on roads, which I couldn't do. One, because I don't want to. I like being connected to the internet, more balanced life, and I have a dog. I pull a trailer. It's just different.
Let me get back to answering your question.
I could mention all of the vegans who are thriving on their diets, and you anecdotally have been suffering, and so I understand why you're changing it. But again, I don't.
I want your percentage of
I literally
people
don't
that cannot
know
do the vegan diet.
I don't know any vegans in my personal life other than, again, these like 10 vegans on the internet.
I named 2/3 of the ones that I know and the ones on the internet, and you don't know a single one.
Wait, a single what?
You're saying you don't know any vegans that are suffering on the vegan diet or that have dropped off the vegan diet. You don't know anybody that's done that. Like how is that possible? How do I know so many and you know 0?
Just wait. I'm thinking from the bottom of my heart. And of course, there's a chance that I knew a vegan in Berkeley 2 years ago who's not vegan, who I never was close friends with, who isn't vegan anymore. Of course, that's possible. I'm saying in my personal life, other than, again, Elise, you, the people we're talking about who anecdotally are sharing their experiences on vegan diets, I do not have any friends who have texted me in the last year or 3 months that I can think of right now who said that their diet is flaking out. Dude, veganism is trending. It is not going down. People are not dropping off. This is complete propaganda. And even if you've experienced it in your anecdotal life, I guarantee you there's more people who are going vegan and staying vegan than are dropping off the vegan diet. And it's my experience.
Okay.
And I'm thriving.
Okay, so like you said, you why would I trust these few carnivores you're saying? Okay.
Versus the Harvard School of Public Health, American
Correct.
Dietetics.
So there are other major organizations
who say that a diet high in animal
Jackson,
products will increase your risk of
I got
heart
it.
disease.
You've said it 3 times. I got it. The audience heard it. I got it. Okay, so listen. There are other organizations, major organizations that are doing testing because keto as a medical pathway is relatively new. Okay, right. Same with veganism, but as far as keto is concerned, it's a very specific way to eat. It's a low carb way to eat. Never before in history has there been a massive group of people other than these tribal people that we still have limited evidence and understanding about. There's people arguing about whether they had atherosclerosis or not. Right. I don't care about any of that. Okay, I don't give a shit about any. I don't give a fuck what Harvard has to fucking say. It doesn't mean shit to me.
Right.
Listen,
okay. I love this because this is why I'm associating this with flat eartherism. You guys are just not listening to the science. You're listening to anecdotal information and your feelings.
but you got to understand that there is real science that is also supporting a ketogenic diet. For instance, my uncle is a type 2 diabetic, has been for the last 30 years. He's worsening right now on a low carb diet or not a low carb diet. Sorry, his diet that he was on before, and his doctors, his mainstream doctor, has recently put him on a high red meat, specifically low carb diet in order to manage his type 2 diabetes, and it's working, by the way.
Great.
So this is happening all over the place.
Great. So there's nuance. While that could be totally possible, and I'm the first one to agree that taking out the standard American diet, taking out refined sugars, refined flours, and eating more whole foods, even if those are from animal products, you can definitely see probably positive results. And I don't know too much about a carnivore diet or a keto diet and diabetes, but at the same time,
it keeps insulin low. It keeps blood sugar low. It keeps insulin low.
Okay, but you have
simple.
to also, this is objective. Again, it's not an opinion. That my buddy Robbie Barbero, who has a company called Mastering Diabetes,
yes, the type 1 diabetic. I'm familiar.
He's a type 1 diabetic, and he's my very good personal friend. I've interviewed him multiple times. I know all about his business.
Again, this is a thing that vegans do. No. I need to talk. You have 90% of the airtime. You got to chill. Okay. Listen, as far as type 1 diabetics go,
dude, he coaches type 2. He coaches type 2. His business isn't type 1. Listen, this is what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter that he does it. It does not matter that he does it. That doesn't mean that everybody can do it. And this is what I want you to admit, because I've already admitted to you I don't trust the Harvard fucking science.
With a 90-something% success rate of type 2 diabetics who come in off a standard American diet consisting of sugar and carbs and meat and a standard American diet. They're not on a carnivore diet. They're not on a keto diet.
Most people are insulin resistant because of the fact that they're consuming a lot of fat and carbohydrates at the same time.
With type 2 diabetes.
Yes. He's taking unhealthy people.
Neil Barnard,
hold on.
And Robbie Barbero cures people of type 2 diabetes and gets them off of their insulin and medication within weeks on a low-fat, rice, bean, potato, whole foods, forks over knives style diet.
That's great, but it's not a good long-term solution.
And they keep it long-term.
That's fine. Yeah, long-term, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But the point is that there is going to be malnutrition and deterioration at some point. It just
what about
these
vegan doctors like Caldwell Esselstyn
these guys look
Colin
like shit.
Campbell?
These guys look terrible.
If you think Caldwell Esselstyn,
what about Dr. McDougall? Terrible. How about Dr. McDougall?
Dr. McDougall does not.
How about Neil Barnard? His neck is literally sucking out. He looks like he's
gives a fuck.
He looks like he's a fucking fighter on Fight Week.
Dude, he looks great. And if your big point to go away from what the American Heart Association and the Cleveland Clinic recommends is that Neil Barnard's neck is skinny, I've won this debate.
Okay, well, you can take that point if that's how you feel about it. But
awesome. And all the objective people out there who are smart and educated are going to agree with me because I I have presented so much more objective, unbiased, unanecdotal research than you have, and I even have study names if you want. You
That's
also
fine.
said
I'm not here. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to
you
talk about
also
that. You know
said
that.
that veganism is new as well. Jay Plant-Based Athlete produced today a New York Times post from 100 years ago in the 1900s that cites a research study that shows that diets high in plant foods and reduction in animal products increase longevity and lower risk of heart disease. This is not a new fringe topic. The carnivore diet, which might be true when studies come out, is a new fringe topic that the smartest people who study research unbiasedly, they do not advocate for that. They're advocating for what the studies have shown and also what the epidemiology has shows. And I have so many charts pulled up here that maybe I'll post on Instagram, or I can list the names of the research, such as
no. Let's not talk about the posting the research or any of that bullshit. I don't care about it.
But showing that there are links, for instance, and we can get into this. Although, yeah, we don't need to go in the science weeds because you and I both are not scientists. We're simply looking at other people's research and interpreting it, and there's a chance that we're wrong and we don't fully know. But I'm just looking right here at so much data.
Okay, we're done. It doesn't matter.
But there are correlations as well in people with high
but what about me?
levels of
What about me, though?
LDL
This is all about me.
cholesterol.
What about me? What about all the people that I know that were suffering on a vegan diet with a digestive issue that simply could not fix it? Like, what do you tell those people? And I want to, and I think I've satisfied your questions, haven't I? Right now, I think we've talked about it. You've taken the point in your mind, and that's fine with me. I really don't care. But we need to move on to something else.
Yeah.
That I want to ask you.
What do I think about these people like you who are suffering, and what do I think you guys should do? Is that the question essentially?
And I want to know how many people you think cannot do the vegan diet no matter what. Like, I want a percentage out of you, a theory. Just, share with us your theory about that.
And again, I keep on wanting to reiterate, I don't have personal theories because I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm simply
you need to have personal thoughts. You need to have personal thoughts on this because these authorities.
Okay, fine. I'll give you the
authorities. By the way, real quick, the authorities.
No,
in
I'll
the
give
80s,
you my personal thoughts.
Yeah, and listen, in the 80s, everybody was breastfed wasn't breastfed. They were actually given formula because science said that formula was better than real breast milk.
Right, science
which we know is bullshit.
Science
Correct.
can be wrong.
So these Harvard studies are kind of meaningless. Let's go on.
Let's go on. By the way, I already won, and everyone who is a science-based person and not just a social media person who wants to believe anecdotal information, all I care about are the smart people, and I've won, but we can keep on talking. I think personally that the vegan diet, how I eat it, which, by the way, do you want me to say what my diet is? Because you also might not be sure because veganism in terms of diet, oh my God, you can eat like Ted Carr, you can be keto vegan, you can...
No, you can't. No, you can't. You can really get malnourished as fuck eating a purely food-based diet. You can get malnourished as fuck eating a whole foods plant-based diet.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there's many types of vegan diets. I'm not saying any of them are good or any of them are bad. Okay. I'm saying we can't just paint a vegan diet as a broad brush because some people might think that I'm a fruitarian when I say I'm vegan, but let me tell you what the diet I recommend is and that I eat. It is a diet because you're interested in why I seem to have relative success, at least in the present moment. Of course, you've said that you don't think I can keep it up long term.
I'm curious why your digestion is good. That's what I'm amazed by. I don't necessarily think.
And by the way,
your results are amazing.
Like today, I've eaten half a watermelon, probably, and a medium-sized watermelon, probably. That was my breakfast, just a monomeal of watermelon, probably 400 calories of watermelon. And then after my workout, I made. On the stove, cooked in water without any oil. I cooked a couple potatoes, a plantain, lentils, which I had cooked before, broccoli, carrots, curry powder, a pinch of salt, a tablespoon or so of nutritional yeast, which is a fortified food with tons of vitamins and B12, which is fortified. I eat some fortified foods. It's not 100% just from how nature provided it. So I'll be objective about that. And I put some cashews on it and flax seeds and avocados for my fats. People like McDougall, by the way, just have to say, eat a very, very low fat diet. I recommend 15 to 20% of total calories from fat. And I even recommend supplementing with DHA and EPA if you're vegan, because that's not my opinion. It's just what the studies show, that a plant-based diet.
Why do you think that?
Okay, I will get into that,
exist?
but I will get into that. But first, so that's what
Where
I
would
ate.
you have gotten that a million years ago? Where would you have gotten a DHA pill a million years ago?
Again, I have never said
you
that
would have had to be born on
optimal. You would have eaten some meat. You would have eaten some eggs to get those nutrients. Remember, dude, I'm saying that a diet high in plant foods and low in animal products is optimal based on the research, man. And because I'm ethically as well vegan, and because I've seen the studies that show that even eating one egg a day, and again, we can pull all different studies. We can't even talk studies anymore because one person can prove one thing and another can prove another. It's how our world.
That's why it's so uninteresting.
Sure. So, yes, absolutely. So all I'm advocating for, man, is that maybe you can get your DHA and EPA through fish, through an egg, maybe a couple times a week. All I'm saying is that
why don't you? So you are basically, just by what you said there, you are admitting that a vegan diet is not optimal. There's a very good percentage chance
that untrue. You're so trying to spin this.
No, you. That's what you are talking. That's all you're doing.
Listen. Because I think that eating those foods, there is a chance that it could be unhealthy doing it long term if it raises LDL cholesterol, which, based on the information and science, that I believe is a risk factor for heart disease. Okay. Keeping it mainly plant-based with a reduction in high saturated fat and high cholesterol foods, and animal products are higher in saturated fat and have cholesterol. That eating a pure plant-based diet supplemented with a plant-based, algae-based, whatever, DHA and EPA supplement for me is better because I don't want to go out and have to buy an egg once a week while I'm traveling and support the industrial agriculture system that grinds live male baby chicks. Or, I don't have access to getting the healthiest animal products and most ethical and wild animal products, and I'm used to eating plants, and I like to eat plants, and I'm not saying it's scientific. I feel my best emotionally, spiritually, which is my personal thing. Eating 100% plant-based diet with a DHA and EPA supplement, which, by the way, if you don't want to take any supplements, eat a piece of fish a week, eat 1 or 2 eggs a week, or probably one egg a week, and you're good. Just eat mainly plants. That's what I'm advocating for, because I'm not a tribal vegan, and you can get your DHA through that instead of supplementing. But I choose not to.
How do you know that the supplements work as well as they advertise that they do? Like, why? If you need it. Like, if you know that you need DHA for whatever reason, you obviously feel like you need to do it, so you supplement with it.
It's a safety mechanism. If you eat things like 2 tablespoons of ground chia seeds a day, which someone in a city can have really easy access to that, there have been many
ate all that,
studies,
by the way, and they were
there have been many studies that show, and again, I'm sorry about your anecdotal experience, but I'm more
anecdotal experience. More people that I know that were vegan have left veganism, but we'll continue.
Great, but more people who are in studies that have been done on thousands of people say, or maybe tens of thousands.
I don't know any of those thousands, but I do know a lot of people in real life.
I know them, and you're having me on, and they have shown that if you eat things like ground chia seeds and flax seeds and hemp seeds, you can convert the ALA and get DHA and EPA in fine levels. But most people aren't doing that, and there's a chance that your body's a bad converter. All bodies are different.
Correct, and I actually do believe that that's possible, because I think otherwise we'd probably die pretty quickly if we couldn't convert the ALA to DHA and EPA. And I've actually looked at those studies. Happy Healthy Vegan, I'm sure you've seen that video. They posted semi recently. They talk about that, and I was very interested. I wanted to debunk that study. As a non-scientist, I wanted to debunk the study. So what I did was I read that study, and they compared fish eaters to vegans to see how the conversion rate, what the actual plasma levels of the DHA and EPA were in their bodies. And what they found was they're actually pretty high. So I was surprised by this. Now, of course, they only tested 5 vegan men and 5 vegan women against thousands of fish eaters, but that still amazed me, to be honest with you. So to me, it's like, okay, I don't really think that we can be pointing to the DHA and the EPA as like some smoking gun. Like, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not totally against, well, actually, I guess I am supplementation because I believe you should be able to get it from the diet. It doesn't make sense why
No, but
you would
listen,
need to take a supplement.
food comes in an entire package. So you can make the choice to, and again, these are the studies that I believe. I believe in research. So look at VegMD on Instagram, Dr. Michelle McMacken, who is a physician, I believe, who advocates for eating a predominantly plant-based diet. Again, none of them advocate for veganism. It's a diet predominantly of high fiber, whole plant foods with a reduction in animal products, which is all I'm advocating for on a health basis. And why would you eat foods that are scientifically based on the most mainstream, smartest nutritional organizations going to increase potentially your risk of
when I eat those
Alzheimer's?
foods, it doesn't matter. I can't even get to the point of Alzheimer's because I can't even make it till tomorrow without having extremely
so now let me
disturbing
address
gas
that.
and bloating.
Okay. So I am open, Drew, to saying that if you have legitimately tried a diet comprised of lots of fruits and vegetables supplemented with DHA, EPA,
I didn't have mental issues, so I know I don't need those supplements.
Okay, you didn't supplement with those. So my diet I'm recommending is a predominantly plant food diet, low fat, but with 10 to 20 calories from fat, with proper B12 supplementation, DHA, and EPA. And I think that you said how many people can do this? I think the vast, maybe 98 or more % of the human population can live with what I think is like the diet I live in, the healthiest vegan diet, with maybe some fortified foods like some almond milk or like some nutritional yeast.
Very, very poor performance because I did that, by the way. I did do a 6-month whole food plant-based.
It's all anecdotal, man. You didn't have a good experience, but there's so many people that do. So I'm open admitting that we don't know.
Like, I'm willing to say 50% can and 50% can't.
So the reason that I choose to eat this way and include some fortified foods and supplements, because the research that I've done is that using those supplements and then doing blood work, which I have published on my YouTube channel, and you can go look at my cholesterol and all the levels of my soluble fats and all of that, which are really good. And I got a good sex drive and I have wet dreams, unlike Tim Sheaf, and I build muscle. And I've done it just objectively. And there's so many people out there who are jacked vegans who do it long term, who aren't taking steroids, and some of them who just have like really great physiques, and some of them have crazy, and some of them who are starting their journey. You can see so many people like me who are thriving. My digestion is great. Again, the reason I was talking about my meal high in fiber is like I eat that meal and maybe I got like a nice little food belly for 10 minutes. And then an hour later, I haven't even pooped after that meal. I poop about 3 times a day, once in the morning, once midday, once at night, which is very normal according to doctors.
How clean are your poops, by the way?
100% clean. I usually use one little thing of toilet paper. I see no seeds. I see no nuts. It's perfect. It comes out in 2 seconds because I eat a lot of fruit. And it's just perfect poops. I have perfect digestion. I don't have acid reflux. I do not get headaches. I have great digestion. I've eaten like 2,000 calories today. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I totally, can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. I understand and sympathize for people like Tim Sheaf, like you, Elise, and I'll be the first to admit that whatever it is you are eating, which I just need to preface, who knows? And I don't know, and you don't know. We don't know if you were missing something that you could have cured from a plant, and maybe you couldn't. Let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you ate the perfect diet with the perfect supplementation. It didn't work. Your body totally was devastated, and then you introduced animal products and you got relief. Here's what I say to you.
Okay,
This
is interesting.
Keep on doing that. I trust you. Do it in the most sustainable way. Try to find your local farmers, have some backyard chickens. And here's what I also believe. Why haven't any of these ex-vegans who say that they need animal products and who care about the animals like Tim Sheaf, why haven't they gone to bivalves first, like oysters, clams that don't have a central nervous system or sentience? Why do they go to land animals first? What if you could get all of that from oysters, clams, and muscles. I think you could get all of those benefits that you were struggling for certain nutrients on a vegan diet, and ethically, it's so much better.
No,
it's because I think you guys are not.
It's not because this is something that's well.
I believe you're telling the truth that you're struggling. I just think that you didn't try everything and that you could do it. So like I'm saying, let's say plants don't work for you, and I said that it works for 90-something% of people because 90% of the vegans in my circle love their vegan diet and stay vegan and build muscle and have good poops and get nice hard boners and all of that shit and have their period. It's just anecdotal, certain pieces of instances that come up on social media, and then people freak out about them and forget about the hundreds of years of science that goes to eating a high fiber plant-based diet.
The smoking gun in the vegan diet, the fucking failure point almost every time is digestion. It always comes back to digestion. Well, hold on. It does not matter. It does not matter if the plants have the nutrients and the vitamins inside of them if you cannot get to them. That's the bottom line. So if you have a lot of gas, you have a lot of bloating, you're not absorbing that food.
How's that hard to understand? Don't have crazy gas and bloating.
That's fine. They're probably, I'm guessing, not pushing their bodies whatsoever.
Gas and bloating.
I know, and I find that amazing. And I know other people like you. You're not the only one that can handle it. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that can't handle it. And what I don't understand from the current vegans is it's like they don't want to accept the fact that there's at least a large percentage of the population that cannot handle a 100% plant-based vegan diet. Hold on. And you're saying about the bivalves
out of anywhere. Think about how
I'm not pulling it out of anywhere. I just told you there's 77% of the people that I knew are off of it. So that's
okay. You're taking 30 people versus the tens or even hundreds. I don't know how many vegans are in the world. If 70% of the world vegans were farting like crazy and were bloated,
they are. That's why there's a Portlandia episode about it.
No, dude. That's just because it is an ever funny joke that, of course, if you eat fiber, you'll have more bowel movements and beans make you toot. But I'm saying that I don't have disgusting, smelly farts with bad digestion, and most vegans don't. Again, Drew is citing Portlandia, and I am citing the best nutritional institutions around that advocate for eating a high fiber diet, even if it makes you poop 3 times a day. Drew told me the other day, 1 week, he pooped 1 time in 5 days. If you think that that's a great idea, listen to these YouTubers, or you can listen to the science. It's your choice.
You know who I listen to? People who are getting good results. I listen to people who cured their issues by doing whatever it takes. And on a vegan diet, if somebody's been vegan for 4.5 years and is still having issues, clearly they tried it all. What I'm really sick of is people assuming
not true, but
it is true. By the
did.
way, I tried a whole foods plant-based diet. I did that for 6 full months in the middle of my vegan journey, after a juice fast and after trying raw veganism. I did 6 months of legitimate whole food plant-based. And I didn't have any issues. I actually had good digestion. It was the only time on the entire vegan diet that I had pretty good digestion. However, I could barely maintain my muscle mass, my weight. I was at 135 pounds. And so somebody like you is going to say, well, that's just your body type. You should just do that. That's healthy for you. No, my fucking teeth were rotting and my digestion was okay, but I had no performance. I had no energy to do anything. I had no strength. Like, I don't understand how that is justified from the vegan side, and they don't want to take that into account. They're anecdotal. Everything that's personal experience is anecdotal. It's ridiculous.
Let me tell you the most reasonable response to that.
Sure,
Drew, I support your choice of making your dietary decisions. I think that considering the vast majority of people, in my opinion, because it's opinion now, because you believe that the vast majority of few-year vegans are struggling and are no longer vegan. Internationally, around the world, there's a massive epidemic as all these vegan restaurants are opening and all these even celebrities are going vegan.
Yeah, correct. There's a lot of trendiness is very popular, of course. People buy Kim Kardashian makeup. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean shit.
Just wait, man. You think that the vast majority of vegans
I would love to have a timer on this. You got like 90% of the airtime minimum.
Because you're having me on, and guess what? I'm going to have you on, and I'm going to let you talk for 90% of the time.
No. This is supposed to be a discussion, a two-way debate, not an interview. This is not an interview.
Sorry. Then I won't make my point that I wanted to make.
No, you make your point, but you don't let me talk when it's time for me to talk. Like, you want me to talk about this oyster thing because you asked me a question. So I want to do that for you. And unfortunately, you can't see me, and I think it would help our communication Because I can see you.
No,
and
but this
it's
is
like,
personal. Okay, we'll be organized. We'll get to the oysters after, and I can say I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this. I've been excited to come on Drew's channel. I think that the carnivore diet is absolutely terrible information to give, so I'm passionate about it, and I will let you talk more, and I'm sorry about that. But let me say, brother to brother, friend to friend, I trust that you were struggling. I am sorry that you were struggling. You're smart. You were probably eating a good, what I would say is a good vegan diet, and you got bad results. And I think that you should keep doing what you're doing if it's giving you results, while at the same time honoring that you are doing things because it's making your body feel best, and it's opposed to the smartest nutrition scientists in the world who say the diet that you should eat for longevity, you're eating the opposite diet according to them, but it's working for you, and keep doing it. Is that fair? Can we agree upon that?
Very fair. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. I love it.
Okay, now to answer your thing about the oysters.
Yes.
The reason why people don't go to oysters and just supplement a little bit isn't because they're lacking animal products. The thing that vegans need to understand that they do not wrap their heads around, they're like, why don't you just supplement a little bit? Why don't you have a little piece of beef? Why don't you have just a couple eggs? Because that's not the issue. The issue is the overconsumption of the anti-nutrients, the oxalates, all this bullshit. We don't even know what the reasoning is. Could just be fiber
What are
itself.
some of the anti-nutrients?
Oxalates, salicylates. I can name off the same regurgitation. Again, it doesn't matter.
How many of them die when you cook the food?
No idea. Don't care. It's irrelevant because I cook it. I eat it raw. Even raw is worse. I can tell you that.
Well,
raw is worse.
lectin is a huge anti-nutrient in beans that everyone cites, but they forget to say that the minute you put heat to your food, so unless you're eating raw kidney beans, which not one person is doing,
it doesn't matter. Insoluble fiber is the problem, most likely. The less fiber I eat, the better my digestion. The less fiber I eat, the better my digestion. That's a common theme.
Keep doing it, but do you also agree that the mainstream science is saying that a high fiber diet is best for your microbiome? And maybe you're right, but your science just hasn't come out yet. It's very well known that a high fiber diet, according to the research, decreases your risk of all mortality, and you can go look at studies with that. And it is the fuel for your microbiome for good digestion, which is why I have great digestion.
Okay, well, we ate the same stuff, and I had bad digestion. So
right, which is why I believe you should do what you do. It's just most people won't have your experience.
Well, that's not true because most people that are having the bad experience on the vegan diet are switching over to a
that's a small amount of people compared to our having a good experience. That's what I keep saying.
It wouldn't be trending on YouTube, and people wouldn't be accusing us of moving over for money if it wasn't a large group of people, which
I choose to look at the trends in the research, not the trends on YouTube. And again, if your people want to trust the YouTubers for their nutritional and anecdotal information,
I trust my body. No, what I'm trusting is my body, and you understand that what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I agree. You should keep doing it. Whatever makes you feel good. Yes.
So, I just wanted to point that out because you asked about the oysters, why they didn't supplement with oysters, and I agree. Yeah. Maybe an oyster is a nicer thing to kill than a cow, but. Yeah. That's not the issue. Isn't a little bit of fish or a little bit of cow. It's actually removing the plant products. That was my only point.
Got it.
So let's move on to something that
right, which is anti-mainstream science, but it's best in your experience and in the research field that
it's not necessarily anti-mainstream science. I would say what it is it's not as widely researched, although there is some data coming out that is supporting this.
But don't you think that if for the last 100 years there were nutritional experts all over the world searching diet, and they come to the conclusion that people who eat higher plant diets have better markers, which is why these conclusions and all the people I listed advocate for a diet high in plants, not just because they're pretty, not just because their grandma said fruits and vegetables are healthy, but because they've looked at people who eat more animal products. And again, they're not on a carnivore diet. So maybe your science is right. And I understand you can't trust all this science because a whole food plant-based person probably, and like 1,000 whole food plant-based people haven't been put together long term with 1,000 carnivores. And
Right.
hopefully by the time we are 80 years old, we'll be on here and we'll be able to have an actual answer. And that'll be amazing. But for now, I choose to believe the mainstream science, which without a doubt, every single major, credible, like the biggest in the world who have done the best and have the most money and research, unbiased, they're not ethical vegans, say that plants have so many markers that defeat disease, and that a plant-based diet is viable for all walks of life. And it's just objective that cardiologists like Caldwell Esselstyn, Garth Davis, Joel Kahn, they treat patients with coronary blockages with a low-fat plant-based diet, and they get better, and their heart disease goes away long-term, and they keep the diet.
Because they're coming from a sad diet. They're coming from the worst diet in the world, and they're moving to a medium shitty diet, the vegan diet. And then they could be on the optimal diet, most likely, which is a small amount of plant products and a high amount of animal foods.
Okay, and I fully will say that if there are doctors out there that you can show me who are reversing people's heart disease within weeks or months off of a carnivore diet, I'll be the first one to say that in terms of heart disease, in terms of treating it, that a low-fat plant-based diet, which we know works, is just as good with reversing coronary blockages as a carnivore diet. Give me the science, brother. You ain't gonna find it.
I will do my best to research that afterwards, although it's
you're not gonna find it.
Okay, we won't find it. I do have a question for you. I
can't wait for the comments.
Can you name one thing related to health that feels good both when you do it and feels good after you do it with no diminishing returns over time? I'm saying feels good when you do it and it feels good after you do it. That has negative long-term consequences, because that's what I want to know from. This is the question that I think needs to be posed to every single vegan, because vegans seem to think that although eating meat right now is making us feel good in this moment, it's also making us feel good tomorrow and the day after and the day after.
Right.
That somehow, sometime in the future, they don't know when, that it's going to give us a heart attack. So I want to know if there's anything in the world that you can think of that's both enjoyable now and feels good tomorrow that is harmful in the long term.
A million things.
Okay, I'd like to hear one.
Drinking alcohol.
Drinking alcohol feels no. Drinking alcohol feels good now, and it's not good for you tomorrow. It's harmful tomorrow. So you drink today, you feel good. Tomorrow you're hungover, you feel like shit. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that feels good today and feels good tomorrow. And has long-term harmful.
My grandpa drank alcohol, smoked cigarettes, and ate meat, and lived to be 105.
He's not going to tell you though that he felt his best the day after getting drunk. He's never going to tell you that. He's never going to say after a night of smoking and drinking he felt his best. Right. You know, I'm an experienced smoker and drinker. I know that the day after doesn't feel good.
Right. Of course.
So, and the reason why I bring this up is because eating meat would be the only thing in the world that would fall under this criteria. I just want to say that vegans would be up on creating a new subject, a new section of something that is harmful feels good today.
Nutrition is a really interesting and nuanced thing.
It would be the only thing in the world like that. Literally.
Dude, no, because coronary blockages, that takes time. Usually if you eat, no one in the vegan movement is saying that if you eat a carnivore diet in 2 weeks, you're going to get a heart attack. We're saying that it decreases your risk to lower animal products long-term when you're older to have a better quality of life. Again, if we want to just get in, and so here, let me say, in this interview, to answer your question, on the top of my head, I cannot think of something that feels good in the moment, feels good tomorrow,
and doesn't have does have harmful negative consequences in the future.
And there might be things that I am not thinking of right now, but I also don't see how it's relevant, because nutrition is a very intense, biological, complicated, nuanced thing. And even though I can't think of another thing in the realm of the world where I can put that in, although you kind of can, for instance, no, I can't think of anything right now. That everyone in the vegan movement is saying that if you eat animal products long term, you have a higher likelihood when you are older. And what does that mean? It means probably between the ages of 40 and 70 years old. I think that if I could reduce my risk of getting a heart attack, which is the #1 cause of death worldwide and in the United States, if I can decrease that risk when I'm an old person and instead have really good blood flow in my arteries and have low cholesterol, which is the most consistently linked risk factor for heart disease, regardless of what you guys say. Facts don't care about your feelings until your science comes out.
Until your family member is the one on the table that's suffering, like the people that have messaged me saying that they were going to get a colostomy bag, and they switched out of eating plant fibers, started eating high animal food diet, and they
if
no
you
longer needed that.
find a heart attack clinic that is full of low-fat vegans, let me know. You're going to find people who are eating the standard American diet. I'm not saying you're going to find carnivores, but that are rich in saturated fat and dietary cholesterol. And so I think that it is still very possible and nuanced. And in my opinion, no mic drops were just dropped with what you just asked me. Again, in my opinion, the viewers can have their own opinion, but all we're saying... Okay, all we're saying is that if you do things that feel good today, like Drew is doing, feel good tomorrow, Drew's diet is increasing according to the smartest nutritional scientists, not YouTubers or anything like that. According to nutritional scientists, he is increasing his risk for coronary artery disease later in life, according to the science.
Why have the people who've been doing this long-term 5+ years been getting coronary artery calcium scans
Anecdotal,
and not having...
because my grandpa ate a ton of meat and lived to be 105 and smoked cigarettes. That doesn't mean you should smoke cigarettes, because the average, and it's more likely that you will, we're not talking about case-by-case instances. There are going to be carnivores who start carnivore today and live to be 100 years old. Right. All we're saying is that the best medical research and nutritional research we have, I keep bringing it back to this, because to me it just makes the most sense. I'm honoring that it might work for some people, but if you are interested in decreasing the risk of being unhealthy and bedridden and having a shitty quality of life later in life, go look at Skinny Neck Neil Barnard and Skinny Neck Caldwell Esselstyn and Colin Campbell, who eat low-fat vegan diets and
72-year-old John McDougall
and are thriving.
You didn't mention John.
What?
You got to mention John McDougall in there. He's
no,
thriving,
John
right?
McDougall eats a very low-fat diet. I keep on saying I advocate a diet in 15 to 20% of calories from fat. I advocate legumes and things. John McDougall advocates pasta, bread, potatoes. Don't put me in that camp.
Okay, fair, fine,
great.
There's no issue. I mean, I don't really care about the, like I said. What I want from vegans, what I want an agreement on is for them to say, hey, there's a significant portion of the population that cannot do this diet 100%. That's all I'm really looking for.
I'm not going to give that to you. What I believe is that a significant portion of the diet of the population can and should adopt a predominantly plant-based diet with as much local food as possible, because industrial food is inherently less ethical, less sustainable. And I eat an industrial food diet because I live on a bicycle traveling, and because I practice what I preach. The minute I finish this trip in January of 2021, I am going to buy land, have an off-grid solar-based house with a fruit farm, and grow my fruits and vegetables in a very sustainable way. And I want to have an animal sanctuary, and I'm going to not be a part of the industrial food system, and I'm going to eat potatoes and beans that I grow and fruits and vegetables, because I really care about ethics, health, and sustainability, and that's my path. But if your path is to live in a city and you don't want to grow your own food, I highly recommend you either and this is not for health now, this is for ethics and sustainability. I recommend you either hunt your food and and kill a couple animals per year and not contribute a lot to the industrial grocery store food system, or you eat a plant-based diet and get as much local food as possible, because that is what is healthiest, less pesticides, better for the environment, and we should always try to get away from industrially produced foods, which is also less nutrient dense. Plants are only as nutritious as the soil. So eating GMOs and eating plants on industrial monoculture farms, it's all about permaculture. It's all about good soils. Look up veganic farming. You also don't need animal manures. You can completely compost through worms and through plant debris. I've done it. I've lived on so many farms on this trip for many months at a time where I'm doing that, and you can have very rich soil. But I plan on having an animal sanctuary, so I will have chickens who are probably laying eggs, which I can feed to my dog. And guess what? I can even eat it. If I had a chicken that I rescued, a hen, and she's completely unconfined, and she lives, she's just chilling, and I rescued her, and she drops eggs, I'm gonna feed them to my dogs. And once in a while, if I want to have an egg, I'll have an egg. It's 100% vegan. If I'm not buying and contributing to the animal agriculture industry of them breeding animals into the existence in order to separate their babies from them, in order to confine them and beat the shit out of them. These are animals that I have lived with and who are amazing creatures equal to our dogs and cats. I don't want to pay for that system. But if I rescue animals and they drop eggs, this is why I'm trying to say, let's stop trusting these irrational, stupid vegans. I'm a rational fucking person advocating for the science of predominantly plant-based diet. And ethically, if you have backyard chickens that you rescue and you're not purchasing them from the local chicken hatchery, which is killing all the males, if you have rescued some animals and they drop eggs and you want to get some nutrients and not have to supplement and eat an egg, eat that egg, and it's vegan. If you want to eat roadkill, ethically, it's vegan. If you want to go in the trash cans and eat meat, that's vegan. The minute you start purchasing or asking people for animal products, which is feeding the system, that's not what I'm about. But ethically, if you find roadkill, if you go in the trash and it's just going to go to a landfill and you eat it anyways, ethically, be my guest. Drew, am I a bit more rational than most vegans in your opinion?
Yes, but I'd say that you're like an expert. Like, yes, we both see. Here's why I just kind of stay silent and I'm just letting you rattle on, because the thing is
I'm mic dropping, bro.
No, it's because I've literally read everything
in the
that you've said.
Is it because I'm mic dropping? Sorry.
Oh yeah, you've got tons of fans in here saying that you're just crushing it.
Dream extreme.
So here's the deal. I've read all that stuff and I've agreed with all that stuff as a vegan. Although, while I was basically not performing at my best and not feeling my best. So
didn't work for you.
It doesn't, like, none of that stuff means anything to me. And of course you're going to say, okay, well, you're one anecdote. I'm going to trust the science. I'm going to trust the majority.
And that's what everyone should do. They should not trust you over the best medical research. They should try for themselves. And if they feel good, they should do it. And then if they feel bad and get your same symptoms, they should trust you. That's how rational I am.
That is 100% legit and fair. And honestly, if we ended there, I'd be happy, because I'd be happy too. That is what every vegan should say, in my opinion. They should understand that there may be a situation, a circumstance, an unforeseen situation that cannot be solved on the vegan diet. That's my only point. That's the only thing that I ever bring up. And I do think it's a much bigger percentage chance than you are willing to admit right now.
Right.
And that's where we're going to...
differing opinion there.
Correct.
But also, just to keep it fully nuanced, what I'm saying is that I believe in your decision to eat animal products for you, because you shouldn't do anything that you've tried that makes you feel like shit. And at the same time, while you're getting benefits in that moment. And by the way, I want to say, I'm not saying that Drew ate a perfect diet and tried everything, because I wasn't there to see what he's eating. All we're doing is trusting him. And I want to trust you because you're my friend. All I'm saying is I don't know that you were properly supplementing. I don't know what you were eating. And I also don't care, because I trust you that you tried everything within what you were going to try. So I trust you.
If anybody is concerned with it, though, if anybody is curious what I ate and wants to see it, they should go watch my video on Clueless Vegans. I made a few days ago.
While I believe in you eating how you are eating, at the same time, in a nuanced way, I am also in belief that you are increasing your risk of Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, and overall mortality, even though I believe in your decision to do what you're doing now. Is that reasonable? Just because it would be illogical for me to cite all of these, the most famous and best done research in the world, which is not advocating for your diet. You get you get a lot of benefits from changing your diet and eating this way. That doesn't mean, just because of your anecdotal situation, it doesn't mean that increased level of HDL cholesterol is not linked to heart disease. That is still true while you are feeling better on meat through an intense elimination diet of food. So it's nuanced. I trust your decision. keep doing what you're doing. And I also think that you're increasing your risk of overall mortality later in life.
Okay, well that's fair, and I would say that if something were to change drastically in my
I
health,
can't wait.
I would.
Sorry. I was going to say with the science, and I can't wait for you guys to present more research, as the research will come out. Because as you're saying, carnivore and keto diets are trending, so the research is going to happen, and I can't wait to in a year, 2, 3, as more research comes out, to talk about this and maybe get my mind changed.
Great. I think that's as good as that's as good of a debate as we're going to have. Do you have any final questions for me that I can go for? Because I feel like we've answered mainly everything. The only other thing I kind of wanted to touch on was 2 myths that I hear in the vegan diet. A lot of vegans spouting this stuff, and you're bringing your studies, you're bringing the Harvard thing. That's fine. I appreciate that. But there's some basic things that I completely disagree with that are very basic biology type stuff.
Tell me.
A lot of vegans will say, well, why not just consume algae directly, or why not consume algae pills rather than going to eat DHA from the fish? You know what I'm saying? So they say the fish are getting it from the algae. And while that's somewhat true, I do want to point out to people that salmon do make their own omega-3s. So these are some of the common myths, as well as the B12 myth. B12 is created by the bacteria in the gut. And salmon eats algae, and they can create their own. They're not getting it all from the plants. And even then, it doesn't mean that a human could eat the algae and convert it the same way a salmon does. It's like saying that, okay, a plant absorbs sunlight and carbon dioxide. Why don't you just absorb the sunlight and carbon dioxide? We obviously know that's ridiculous.
Right.
So
and
these
if
are
you take a good
up.
quality DHA and EPA supplement, you're good. Or eat ground chia seeds, and you're also probably good. And get your blood work done and make sure. And if it's good, you're good. And if it's bad, and you need to do something else. But until then, I'm pretty sure, just my recommendation. Yeah, sorry, you were talking. I need to shut up.
No, that was actually it. If there's any other last points that you'd like to make, I'd like to probably just end it there.
Awesome. And yeah, I totally get that I hogged the conversation. I talked mainly, and I hope that you will come on my channel for us to do this. And it can be a debate, but for the conversation to focus on you and to focus on your nutritional beliefs. Because, dude, I've been immersed in Chris Kresser and Dr. Sean Baker and the Mark Bell podcast, in this guy, Saladino.
Dr. Saladino.
Yep. So I've been immersed in all of this stuff. In fact, I barely even look at vegan nutrition stuff anymore because I spent the last 5 years doing that. And in the last year, I'm listening to podcasts and interviews all day from the opposing side because it's so fascinating to me. And I want to hear all of their perspectives. So I'm also not
you're going down the rabbit hole. It's
oh my God,
man.
Dude. I've listened to every Sean Baker. I'm listening to every Mark Bell, and nothing has convinced me other than the compared to the research coming out from, again, VegMD, Joel Kahn, Caldwell Esselstyn, all the plant-based doctors that I believe. So I have not been at all convinced to try it because they all are citing more anecdotal.
Well, you have good results, so there's no reason to try it.
And I have good results, but I would love to have you on my channel where you can tell me the research that you've been doing and expanding your mind, and
my research is all on myself.
All of that.
I'm doing the research day by day. That's the thing. That's the difference.
So you just openly want to. Okay. If all that you care about is anecdotes.
Yes, and other people, not people that are just careless with it. I want to know from. But I still want to
have you on my channel just to make it fair. Cool. And if you don't want to come, don't come. It's all your choice. But I want to say as well, I guess the last thing you said, the floor is mine for last little points.
Sure.
In addition to talking about this stuff, I think the coolest part about me as a human being is that I live a really crazy life right now, cycling. And if you want to watch some really fun, entertaining vlogs of me and my cute rescue dog biking all over the world, just go to my YouTube channel, Plantriotic, and I have over 1,000 videos that I've made documenting my food and also my travels over the last 5 years. I talk a lot about eating disorder recovery, yoga, I have meditation videos, and mainly just entertaining ass vlogs of my life, day in the life. So go check that out. And anyone who wants to have me on their podcast, YouTube channels, sometimes I don't have Wi-Fi because I live this way, but sometimes I'm in an Airbnb like I am now here in El Salvador, and I want to just talk with everyone. DM me if you have questions, whatever. connect with me. I don't care what your diet is. We're all brothers and sisters. And thank you so much for having me on. And I'm Plantriotic on all platforms, Instagram. I have an iTunes podcast and YouTube. And I really appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, glad to have you on. Yes.
Can we end with Drew? Do you believe you won this debate?
No, I'm gonna call it a draw, which is what I unfortunately didn't want.
Okay,
I'm satisfied. What I'll say is I'm satisfied. I've been satisfied for a while, ever since you basically said that, hey, keep trying what you're trying. I think that's the most important thing. Like, that's if this entire debate was summed up into 2 sentences, that would be enough for me. Even if you won the debate, that's fine. I'm glad to have that 1 sentence. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I definitely won. And thank you guys in the comments for congratulating me on my win. Much love, Dream Extreme.
Okay, well, thank you, Jackson, again for coming on the channel. Everybody, I hope that you enjoyed the debate today. We're going to say bye to Jackson.
Believe science. Don't believe anecdotal YouTubers. Believe the science. Do the research yourself, whatever it proves. It's all about research, and also only do things that make you feel good long term.
Wait, you forgot one thing.
Much love, Dream Extreme.
No, go vegan.
Go vegan for the animals. Okay. Friends not food.
Okay, all right. See you later.
Peace.
Okay, all right, guys. So we're going to pop this up full screen for a second. We'll do a little debriefing here. Hang on 1 second. Okay. There we go. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. James Murphy says he won. If Plantriotic won, then show your love on his channel. Make sure you guys follow him. Make sure you guys tune into his channel. Yeah, that was a good interview. It actually went well. I had a few questions here that I wanted to ask. I basically got all those out. We covered everything over time, and like he said, I mean, Jackson, he's doing the research. He's going down the dark rabbit hole of the carnivore side, and I commend him for that at the very least. It's a very dangerous thing to do as a vegan, especially an ethical vegan, because that's what I did. That's how I basically swapped over from veganism to going carnivore, because basically I didn't believe it. I didn't think any of it could have any truth to it. And then what ended up happening was I did so much research. I saw people getting enough good results that I basically had to give it a shot myself. And really, that's what I asked. And if there was any one last question that I could have asked him was if there's any way that he would consider trying a animal-based diet for a certain amount of time. I'm sure he would decline based on ethics, of course. But I'd even be willing to put out the vegan challenge to somebody who, if they wanted to swap diets with me for 7 days or 14 days, I would actually go vegan again, and I would vlog every day. So I would not be bullshitting, and they would have to vlog every day too. And basically, I would go vegan again, and I would like them to consume animal products, and that way, there's no ethical issue, right? Because they're just swapping a diet with me, and at that point, no extra animals are being harmed because I'm now consuming vegan foods. So that would be an interesting thing, I think, to offer to a vegan if they wanted to try. I would be willing to do that for social media, of course. It would have to be something that we do publicly. Thank you, Salome. I saw a lot of your comments. Yes, it took some patience to sit back and let that unfold. We had some shit talkers in the audience. Zach G, he wants to fight in real life. Maybe next time I'm Midwest, we can film it. We can throw it up on YouTube. That'd be a great time, I'm sure. Just kidding. I'm not going to fight you, dude. I don't care who you are. You're nobody to me. Who else do we got in here? Yeah, it's interesting. Mostly support. Some of the vegans were in here saying that, hey, he's got you, Drew. I know that Nels was saying that, that the vegan science won. But that's not what we are here for. So that's the thing is, we weren't here to discuss studies. We weren't here to discuss science, although science is the foundation for my belief system. Science is a theory to go on. So when you practice the science, what are the results? And obviously, Jackson has good results for himself. He's meeting his own goals. He's getting the results that he wants. I wasn't personally getting the results that I wanted on a vegan diet, and it wasn't even all performance-based. It was a lot health-based, and I just couldn't continue on, along with other people that I know. And it's unfortunately, I think that vegans are starting to come to the realization that there's a lot more people that can't sustain on a vegan diet like themselves. It's 5, 10 years in, 20 years in, really. Sophie was here. Thank you for coming, Sophie. I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, we decided to talk anecdote, not science. Why wouldn't we talk anecdote? We're both very experienced vegans. Why wouldn't we talk anecdote? Like, I'm not here to... we are the fucking experts. You know what I mean? I'm not here to talk about how some study somewhere, somebody went vegan for 1 year and they're talking about their results on some sort of questionnaire. Like, I don't know what happened with that study, but I do know what happened with me and my personal friends. And I do know about what people experience after they left veganism. If it's not vegan science, then it's not real science. Exactly. That's that's what it is, guys. Okay, so all right. I do believe he has good digestion. So it's all good, man. It's all good. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry for the technical malfunctions at the beginning of the situation. If there's anything else anybody wants to ask, I can stick around for a few more minutes. Anything you guys want me to make a video on soon, I'm actually going to edit a video I shot today directly after this talking about the vegans that I know in person and the people that have actually left the diet. There's only 7 out of 25 left that were vegan when I started eating meat. So 7 months go by and 2/3 of them actually fall out. So no, they don't. Nels 830, I think you are in denial, my friend. More vegans coming to my channel besides Ted. Ted's coming on tomorrow, 10 a.m. I do not know of any other vegans that want to come on. I don't know any other vegans, to be honest with you. JG, how do you have so much patience? Honestly, this is content for the channel. You know, Jackson came on and he wanted to do this debate, so I wanted him to get everything he wanted to say out. And honestly, a very good way to debate people is and to disarm them is to actually let them get all of their points out. I know Jackson has a lot to say, so it's extra hard. But when people really talk through their thoughts and they spit it all out, it allows them to sort of reset afterwards and think back on what they've said and see, do I really believe what I just said? And honestly, I think he's going to be doing a lot of that. He's already doing a lot of research on his own, so really there's not much else to say about that. Oh, Jonathan, man, I'd love to get on with you, man. You're fucking dope. See if you will lose more teeth from talking shit. Okay, Jack G, Jock. You need to tone your boner down, bro. Stop flirting with me. Drew, I have never had an eating disorder being vegan. I did do 30 days of juicing. I did do 30 days of raw right in the middle of my vegan journey. So 4.5 years vegan, 2 years in, I did a 30-day juice fast for experimentation purposes. And honestly, after that juice fast, I had the best digestion that I had on the entire vegan diet for about 6 months. And I felt okay. But like I said, I was very weak. My teeth were deteriorating. So you can never have it all on a vegan diet. Bobby said the same thing before, and I totally agree. Basically, you can never have performance and health and good digestion. You can't have it all. But guess what? You can have it all when you're eating a high quantity of animal foods. And that's what I've been doing for the last 7 months. And I feel fucking great. 2 meals a day, intermittent fasting. I'm leaner than I've ever been. I'm starting to gain quite a significant amount of muscle mass and performance. I'm very, 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 very satisfied, and I feel great. The digestion is so good. It's unbelievable. Did many vegans, secretly cheat behind the scenes? Actually, some of them did, to my surprise, but I didn't know that until I started eating meat. So people are very, very, very secretive with what they're doing. Do you recommend drinking raw milk? Absolutely. Raw milk is so fucking good. Any milk. And I know people are going to be hating on me for eating conventional stuff, but I'm actually doing an experiment eating a lot of conventional foods right now. I'm eating a lot of conventional meat. I'm eating a lot of conventional milk right now, and it's way cheaper. And I'm trying to see if I still feel good eating this food. I know people are going to have a real problem with this, but the fact is that, I'm not rich. I need to buy some of these foods. I can't afford $18 grass-fed ribeyes, but I can afford $5 a pound conventional ribeyes. And guess what? The quality is still really good. It still tastes amazing. And I've got to do what I've got to do. I'm sure I know I was never vegan. I don't need to ask Freely for that. Come on. Freely would school me like crazy. Vegans rely on some sort of type of science. They rely on theory. They do not like real world results. And I think that the carnivores are producing much better results consistently day after day. That's just my opinion on it, and that's my personal experience, as well as a lot of the other ex-vegans that I know. Andrej Galino, you asked, how many carbs per day? I'd say on average, maybe 50 to 75 grams of carbs a day I'm eating, if you were to average that out over the course of a week. He messaged him, but Bobby didn't want to, right? Yeah, Bobby did talk about whether or not to take Plantriotic on. I don't know if he'll take him on in the future, but I was already talking with Plantriotic about doing this interview, so I ended up taking it on myself. Why wouldn't I? Especially after yesterday. I made the video about Ted, and yeah. Keto Mechanic wants to debate me? What are you going to debate me for? We're just going to agree on everything. What did I miss? Salome, man, you're on fire, bro. I like what you've been saying today all day. If X Dragon is in here, I'm so sorry. I blocked you. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to block the dude who's trying to call me out. He wants to fight. Apparently, he knows Elise. Apparently, interesting guy. I don't know of any fighters in real life that talk shit over the internet. Just so you guys know. And by the way, UFC is going to be on tonight. It's going to be an amazing fight night. I hope you guys catch it. 2 really big, awesome fights. I'm a huge fan. Please go watch that tonight. It's going to be dope. And if anybody's a UFC fight fan or MMA fight fan, make sure you comment in my videos. We could talk MMA anytime you want. Okay, Carson McQuarrie says that, Kate, some blue zones eat more animals than others, but all eat mostly exclusively vegan. Loma Linda, California, and Okinawa, Japan eat a very high vegan and longest living cultures. Okay, that is not true. And I could prove that right now. The Loma Linda blue zone eats 85% of the calories from plants, and they eat 15% from animal products. So here we go, right here, right? Here's the wheel of truth. There you go. 4% meat and poultry, 1% fish, 10% dairy. Look at that. That's a real blue zone diet. Right there. So they're not even close to being vegan. It's not like 1 or 2%, which would still make them not vegan, right? Because we don't know how important, like, think of the vegans who've had wet dreams in one night of eating fish. It's very, very critical, very important. Of course, I use anecdotes. If you're talking to me, Senka, of course I use anecdotes. I don't have a problem with citing anecdotes. When somebody tells me their experience, I don't say, well, that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't agree with the studies. The study says 86% of people can do it correctly. Okay, so maybe you're 14%. That's very important. It's very important if you're that 14%. You want to know. You want to fucking know. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to shut it down here. I actually lost sight of the chat anyways, so let's see. We're going to the bottom now. There are no vegans in Loma. Exactly. Drew, can I ask you about your sex drive? Did it increase? My boyfriend's vegetarian, so I'm curious. You know, he should be fine. Probably. But hey, have him eat some red meat. Go eat some beef. Just eat some really high quality beef and you will feel so good. You'll feel so good. You lost sight of a lot more. Yes. We've lost. The carnivores, we've lost. I'm going back to plants. You heard it here. I'm going back to horrific bloating and gas. It's the only way to go. Maybe in 10 more years it'll work itself out. Anyway, all right, guys. I'm going to make myself go back to the thing. I had a good time. Thank you so much for showing up. I really love when the chat's here popping off. You guys make it more interesting. Yes, I'm reading the chat the whole time. Yes, I'm talking to the guests the whole time. That's why I didn't mind that Jackson talked a little bit more than normal. I was able to read the chat, and I had a great time. So see you later, and look out for my video that's dropping. And I'm also going to be talking about some coaching services too. So if you guys are interested in being coached by me one-on-one privately, go ahead and contact me via Instagram @DrewMorg. I will coach you and I've helped multiple people already. So go to the people who have results, and I believe that I have good results, especially in the realm of digestion. And so many people are struggling with digestion. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the moderators. Bye, Kate. Bye, Charles. Bye, Jonathan. Bye, everybody else, Carnivore and Primal Edge Health. Peace out.